What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the podcast on this snowy Sunday. There's about to be a snowstorm. I'm here with Tyrone, Menelik, and Hollister, and we're getting ready to get cracking. Last week, Saturday, UFC 257, Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier 2. I was surprised. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are as well. I'm surprised as far as how the fight panned out, but as far as the skill set that was shown and the technique that was shown, I'm not surprised how it happened. I'm just surprised at the result. And then you also got Michael Chandler. I was definitely surprised about that, for him to come out and make a big statement like that. But before I give my take, let's get into it. So, Hollister, what do you think about that fight?
All right, so for the Michael Chandler, who was the guy he was fighting again? I forgot his name.
Dan Hooker.
Dan Hooker.
Dan Hooker. Who I picked Chandler to win that fight, I think.
I think you might have picked Chandler. I have to go back to the tape, but I think you picked Chandler.
But I didn't really know much about him, but seeing him come out the way he did in his UFC debut, he came out strong, made a great first impression, and it looked like he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. His hands is lethal. Like, he caught Hooker with a couple good hooks. He really did his thing. So that division need to be on the lookout for him because he's coming, and he's not playing around.
What do you think about the Conor fight?
The Conor fight, I was surprised in Conor. Dustin Poirier is, can't underestimate. He's a great fighter, but Conor, you could tell he definitely trained a lot, to get better and stronger, but he didn't work on his legs. Like, it looked like, I know Poirier was getting on his calves, like he kept kicking his calves and calves gave out. But when you train for a fight, you got to train everything. You can't just train like your upper body. You got to do full body workouts. But hopefully Conor, could bounce back. I'm not sure, but I'm not going to give up on him. But I think he could bounce back, but he gotta, take it easy. He gotta start off he gotta work his way up back again because he took almost like a year off. And, as you get older, it's a little more difficult to be the way you was before.
Yeah, Tyrone.
Yeah, I don't really know much about the other guy, but I'll talk briefly on the Conor fight. I didn't see it yet, but I know he won the first fight by like a TKO first round.
Clear knockout in the first round.
Yeah, so
60 seconds, yeah.
I was assuming that he would win it pretty easily again, but sometimes it's like Hollister said. When you get older, it's harder to still have the same skill set you had in your prime, and you have to remember too, he hasn't really been the same since he fought Floyd and transition to the boxing world. Maybe the money and the popularity is getting to him, and he's thinking more about his outside ventures than him in the octagon. So I don't know. I don't know. I didn't follow his training and how much training he did. Yeah. But I think that he has more. He thinks more about things that's outside of MMA now than he used to, and also the retiring and the unretiring, the in and out of the back and forth with wanting to fight. He said he was retiring in June, then all of a sudden he's saying he's coming back. So a lot of that might have something to do with it. Maybe he was fighting this fight hoping he'd get through this easily and hopefully he'd get another shot at Khabib. I don't know if he was looking past this guy. So I don't really know what happened. I would have to watch the fight and see. And I don't think he's done because in MMA you can take a loss and come back. So it's not like boxing where some of these guys they get a loss and sometimes they just disappear forever. Yeah. MMA is pretty different. So guys like this, they could take. He has losses before, so I think he'll come back and maybe he'll get his head straight and see what happens. We'll see what happens with him.
Okay, Menelik.
Sorry, yeah. So yeah, as far as the Michael Chandler and Dan Hooker. So yeah, Chandler was, a champion in Bellator. He came over, there was a lot of hype on him, and it was just that question of like, what is he going to do in the UFC, or would it translate? Is he really the real deal? And I think he went out there and he made a statement. I mean, Dan Hooker is no slouch. He had a really good fight with Poirier before, and it was like a fight of the year candidate last year. He's no slouch. But Chandler, he went out there and he showed he's lethal. He the real deal. He had height disadvantage, reach disadvantage. but he showed that kind of championship medal, and that once again that he's the real deal. So I think the lightweight division is pretty stacked, and there's also a lot going on between Khabib potentially retiring, you know, uh, then the title being up for grabs. You know, you got different people in the mix. You got Poirier, you have, Chandler,
Charlie Oliveira.
you got Oliveira. There's like a bunch of talented lightweights right now in the mix, so I think it should be interesting to see, and it's going to be a lot of good fights or potential for good fights in that division. Um, so yeah, as far as the Connor and Poirier, I was definitely um shocked in a sense. So on the one hand, right, Poirier he's no slouch. He's nice. He got better since they last fight, but Connor kind of beat him like decisively last time, and I think last time Poirier was more emotional and he was more, he let the mystique and everything of Connor get in his head too.
Yeah.
Obviously, Connor is no slouch as well. Even in this fight, right? If you really look at it, right? So McGregor, I think, won the first round. He came out.
Yeah.
He hit him with a little flurry of punches kind of early, and he was doing the little shoulder strikes he does, and he did enough, I think, to win that first round. But obviously, Poirier, and he did say that this was part of the game plan. He did hit those kicks to the legs, and when you get kicked in the legs like that in the right way, if you ain't get to check it properly, this down your leg really would go dead, and you could see coming into that second round that Conor definitely was compromised. So as far as McGregor's future, I think he showed still he's he still got it overall. Obviously, I do think there was some ring rust in a sense, like he wasn't competing for real. And his last fight before this was a year ago, and it lasted not long at all. So if you think about, and then before that, he didn't fight until like 2018. So he hasn't really fought a lot recently, and that with the retiring, not retiring, getting back in there, and then getting put in a position like that where he ended up being compromised.
Yeah.
He hasn't really had to kind of be in that position in a while. And in a sense, in the Khabib fight, but it was different there. So, because it was more like a physical thing that was stopping him. So, I mean, he did come out strong.
He missed some.
Had some ring rust, I feel like, and that did impact or affect, his, I guess, how in it he was, because recently he hasn't been fighting a lot.
Yeah.
And like, once again, no knock to Dustin. He's a legit person. He had a war with Holloway back in the day. Who we saw what Holloway did recently. Like, Dustin is legit as well, right? So not to take that away, and I think he came in with the game plan, and he did mention, I think, afterward, that part of the game plan was to attack Connor's legs, because Connor is known for his movement, his precision, and other things like that. So if you kind of take that away, it really limits his ability to really hound you in a certain way, because he did hit. I think Connor caught him with a good left too in that first round. Like, Connor wasn't looking washed. It was just he got hit, caught with the leg stuff, and that changed the tone, and it changed everything as far as the fight. And then Dustin did have it in him to capitalize. So I mean, for that division going forward, I think, once again, like I was speaking to before, there's a lot of good people in the mix, and we'll see how it happens. I know the UFC probably tight though, because Conor as either a champion or as the number one contender bodes well a lot for them. Conor probably tight, because I know there was like the Pacquiao fight on the table. Jake Paul, I think they were saying Jake or Logan, one of them was like, oh, the fight, they tried to change the rate on him, all kind of stuff, like some of his luster.
It was like Jake Paul was the one, because he wanted to fight him, but Jake Paul is fighting Ben Askren. But I mentioned that a little bit when I go to
but more or less, that's just my take. I think McGregor still, he got opportunities. He could fight Dustin again in the trilogy. He could fight Nate again in the trilogy. Depending on some of the other fights in the division, like him and Gaethje was talking stuff to each. Like, there's a lot of fights for Conor if he wants it, and he's still going to be a draw. And like I said, I think he still got it. He got to work on this though, because now other people gonna attack his legs, like because they seen what happened. So, and I think he would train and work on it. So it should be interesting to see.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything, man. But just to touch on a few things, like what Tyron has said. I think with the whole retiring and not retiring thing, it was out of frustration. Conor wanted to be really, really active in 2020, and as we all know, Conor McGregor is a big draw, right? So what the UFC, this is just my personal opinion. I don't know. I think what Dana and them was doing, they was holding out because he started off the year last year in 2020 in January, and then the whole pandemic happened, and the UFC was like, you know what, we're not going to waste our meal ticket, our cash cow, as in Conor, with people coming to the gate, all them Irish fans coming from all over the globe just to watch Conor fight. They didn't want to lose that, so they held him on the shelf. That's why Conor was getting mad. Conor was willing to fight anybody, and the whole reason why this Dustin Poirier fight came about was because they agreed on Conor's, based on Conor was like, I'll fly you out here to Dublin. We'll do a charity event. I give my money to the charity. Whatever money we make, I give to your charity. We're just going to have a nice little sparring match. We fight. And Dustin was like, I bet, let's do it. And then UFC got wind of it. UFC like, nah, we gonna take that, and y'all gonna fight under our umbrella. And that's what the UFC did. Now, as far as the Conor fight, I feel like, look, man, I think people don't say, oh, Conor was too nice. I think Conor been through a lot in his life. He did the whole crazy diff when he was allegedly doing the booger sugar and doing all the stuff like that. And he was wilding, throwing, freaking dollies through windows and getting at Khabib, talking about some stuff. It was like some real serious beef, which I still think it is. But I felt that, he was on a different path. He was so aggressive, so angry, because when you're a guy who fought your way to the top like that to get that level of notoriety and that money, everybody out there hands out, where they trying to sue you or do whatever. He's snuffing people in the bar. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on with him. And I feel that he got all that behind him, and he's in a better space mentally. I do agree with you, Malik. I do think it was a lot of ring rust, even though a lot of people don't think that's the case. I do think that's what it is. He's not active. You look at Dustin. Dustin's been very active. He lost to Khabib. Then he fought Holloway. He fought Holloway to fight Khabib. Then he lost to Khabib. Then he yoked up Gaethje, I think, or somebody. I forgot the track record. Then he fought Dan Hooker in a war. Then he was just putting in work and nothing against Dustin. I kind of had a nagging feeling that Dustin would have pulled this off. And if I was a betting man back then, like I said, I would have probably put some money on Dustin winning that fight, because I probably would have made some bank. You know what I mean? But as you know, they both stop pause, right? And when you have that same leg as the leg of the person's strong leg, you're going to get that kick wrap around your calf all the time. Now, if Conor was an orthodox fighter, the leg kicks wouldn't have been as bad, because it wouldn't have been outside, it'd been more inside, and he'd be able to check it a lot easier. When he was checking the kicks a little bit, but when you checking a kick from the person throwing a leg kick on the same side as you, like how you are, you have to really turn your leg out almost like a 90-degree angle from your hip to catch it. And Conor wasn't really checking it. And then he started catching the kick, started timing and catching the kick. But, when your leg is already like dead and half limp, you can't really do much. And I think that's what happened with Conor. When he took that last one in the second round, he couldn't move. So he just tried to do the rope-a-dope, and you can't stay stale with a guy like Dustin. You know what I'm saying? And Dustin was almost catching him with a lot of good blows too. And Dustin got power, and he TKO'd him. You know what I mean? Because Conor was still, when he was laid out on the floor, that he was still, conscious. It's just that he couldn't move. You know what I mean? And at that point, it was over. So I felt bad for Conor in a sense. I also felt happy for Dustin. But I grew to like Conor. Like when I first was hearing about him in the hype, I was like, I don't like this. I don't know about this Conor McGregor. Everybody on him, they sweating him, whatever. And then he proved me wrong every fight that I watched him. You know what I'm saying? And I do feel bad for him that he lost, because you do lose that mystique. You do lose that kind of like popular, draw that you once had, and you got to eat that. You know what I'm saying? But I do think he'll come back. I don't think the retirement thing is like a full-on conclusion. And he said, I'm not about the money, because money comes and goes, man. On my highlights. He want to look at his highlights. He want to be able to look back and watch, like how we watch Muhammad Ali and Roy Jones and Mike Tyson and freaking John Jones and all these other guys' highlights. We watch those highlight reels. We see some crazy stuff. He won a nice highlight reel of his own. And I feel that he has a different purpose of fighting now. And now he's focused on that. And I also feel bad for Dustin, because Dustin, he said he don't even like fighting anymore. He only doing it because he need this money to take care of his family. Got a lot of other stuff going outside of fighting. He want to be a champion. There's the division's in flux, because Khabib, like, I don't want to fight anymore. I don't know if I want to fight. You got to excite me. And he feel that he should be a champ. And there was rumors talking about giving it to Michael Chandler, because he had a great fight, but Michael Chandler's new. You got guys who have to fight their way up to the top. Dustin had to take the L from Conor, build his way all the way back up, even after the loss, it could be build his way all the way back up to get to this level to fight. And here come Michael Chandler coming out from another promotion, knock out Dan Hooker, that freaking, Poirier just finished washing, the last time, and all of a sudden you get a title shot. It's not fair. So I do agree with him to that extent that I feel that if Khabib is stripped, then that fight should have been for the belt. Or if they do like a trilogy fight, it's for the belt, but then it's like messed up, a Conor coming off a loss. So I think Conor should fight Nate. That's a fight everybody's going to want to watch. He has a good chance of beating Nate. No disrespect to Nate, because I love the Diaz brothers. But unless Nate submit him like he did the last time, I don't see him, really beating Conor. So I would like to see that fight, give Conor a nice little win under his belt, get his name back out there, and then maybe do a trilogy between him and Dustin for the title if Khabib's not going to come back. I don't feel that Michael Chandler, despite what he did to Dan Hooker, like you said, man, like Dan Hooker is not no slouch, but for him to get a title shot right off rip, I don't think that's right. I feel that it's kind of messed up. Alistair Overeem didn't get a title shot right away. He fought an ex-champion, and he washed him when he fought Brock Lesnar when he was Ubereem, when he was on that Bamba. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's right for him to get a title shot. But we'll see. That division is stacked, and it should be very interesting in the next coming months to see what transpires. But let's stay in the MMA/fighting realm. You did mention the Jake Paul. Jake Paul, he was trolling, try to talk about Conor and saying all this other stuff like that. And he's talking about, I was going to give you 50 million, but now I'm going to give you 10,000 because what happened to you, and et cetera, and et cetera. You go fight Dustin, like Dustin is a slouch. Like these Paul brothers, I can't stand them. And like for me, if I was really serious about fighting, I'll go train right now and fight these cats and knock them out. Because honestly, they fought, they ain't that nice, and like they fighting cats who really ain't fighters.
But this is the thing though, Mike.
Yeah.
You see how you feel right now?
Yeah.
This is why they're famous. You're giving them attention.
That's true.
Listen, Jake Paul is famous right now. Like we casually know him. Like I knew who he was before, right? But bro, he's famous for knocking out a basketball player.
Yeah.
Let's let that sink in for a second.
You riding that wave.
Who is he think he is looking for big money? He talking about $50 million. You knocked out Nate Robinson and you talking about $50 million? I don't even think you got 50 grand for that. What $50 million he talking about?
But he said he got proof of payment, because he said allegedly he was like, yo, Conor's team, he's gonna fight Conor, because Ariel Helwani interviewed him, and he was like, yeah, we had the thing on the table, and Conor was like, I need to see proof of income, proof of funds, and they got the proof of funds. They're gonna get that $50 million to give to Conor to fight him. Now, even if the fight were to go through, right, the same is gonna happen to his brother when he fight Floyd. You're fighting a professional fighter. Now, you said, you hit the nail right on the head, Tyrone. You fought Nate Robinson. Nate Robinson is an athlete of athletes. I don't think he really trained hard, Nate. And if he did train, he never fought. So he don't have to understand the timing. When he do his jab, he had his jab, and he's staying with the jab like this, and he have his hand out, and he not bringing it back. He ain't doing that. So that's why he got his clock clean.
First of all, because I'm a boxing man. I'm a boxing guy. So, number one, he was taller than him and way more. They're not even in the same weight class. The man is a basketball player. The last time we saw Nate, I think it was in the Big Three. Yeah. Right? Yeah. He played some football, but football doesn't mean you're a boxer.
Yeah.
No, this ain't like Greg Hardy when he transitioned from football to the MMA. He trained for that. I mean, he's not a top contender, but I've watched some of his fights. He actually has a couple of victories under his belt, but he trained for that. And Nate Robinson is literally a basketball player that just did it out of it was probably just like one of those traditional rivalry matches. Like, yeah, I want to fight you, like Jose Canseco. He did some celebrity boxing stuff a couple years back. That's what Nate Robinson was. He was just a celebrity fighter. He's not a real fighter. And for this guy to knock him out, and you see what made his head get bigger is the fact that people were trolling and making jokes of Nate. So when people were making fun of Nate Robinson, he felt he was feeling himself, because he looking like, look how I got all these people making fun of him because of me knocking him out. So now he thinks he's a big dog. And his brother now, who I think, in my opinion, should try any way possible to get the hell out of this Floyd fight, because I'm scared Floyd might put him in the hospital. As much as Floyd is not that kind of fighter that really hurts people,
I don't want that.
I understand.
I kind of want that. You know what I mean?
I
Sometimes
understand what you're saying.
give people the respect.
He should be lucky that he postponed that fight, man, because this is not you fighting an ordinary fighter. You fighting a man that's 50-0.
Yeah.
And you saw what he did to the Japanese boy.
Yeah.
And he didn't even train for that.
I mean, like that
Japanese boy was crying after.
Yeah, but see, but honestly, with that joint, it's like I kind of feel a certain kind of way about that, but I still I'm rocking with Floyd all the way. But I agree with you. When like I was watching this thing with this other guy, he's like an ex-football player, and he was talking about how he used to like, you know, mess around with Floyd. He go by Floyd's house, and he's kind of big guy, 290, maybe like 6 foot something. He was the Floyd, like, yeah, you know, messing around with Floyd. He said, man, I bet you I could do that. And Floyd's like, yo, man, all right. He said, I'm gonna hit you. I'm not gonna give you a lot. I'm gonna hit you. And then he said Floyd hit him with like maybe like 40%. He's like, yo, man, if he went 100%, I'd have been finished. He said, look, it's not about the size sometimes. Pause. It's like these cats know where to hit you and how to hit you. So that's why I'm upset with these Paul brothers, because don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that they didn't, because I think Jake Paul got some legit boxing trainers training them. Both of them.
I think he training with Masvidal now too.
Yeah.
Jake or something.
Jake Paul. I mean, like, but yeah, you training with Masvidal for what? Masvidal did a knee on Ben Askren, right? And I'm not trying to disrespect Masvidal. It was like a perfectly timed, kind of a lucky knee.
Yeah,
right?
I get that.
You're not fighting MMA. You're fighting.
I get that. That's what I was getting ready to say. Like, yeah, he's training. He's a boxer who's training with an MMA fighter.
Yeah.
How does that help you in a boxing ring?
And that's what I'm saying. So even without that, like honestly, a lot of people, it's surprising. A lot of people are going against Ben Askren. Now, Ben Askren ain't no scrub either. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's not the traditional.
Listen, I'm putting the house on him.
I am too. But I'm just trying to say in the sense that, look, Ben Askren he's undefeated before he got to UFC. And honestly speaking, before he even fought Masvidal, he had a real bad hip issue. He just had a hip surgery. Like, he showed the scar to Ariel. Like, he has a long scar from the bottom of his thigh all the way up to his hip. He had to have hip replacement. And he had a bad back problem because he was an Olympic wrestler. This man is an Olympic wrestler, college top wrestler, a one champion, a Bellator champion. This cat is not no slouch. And then think about it. He's fighting other professional fighters, killers like Robbie Lawler and some other guys he fought of an organization who are way more dangerous than a Jake Paul, right? And here it is that people are sleeping on him because of what happened with him with Masvidal and him being Ben Askren, not known for his hands, fighting Jake Paul, and they're like, oh, he's going to lose. I don't think so. I think he's going to go in there. I think he's going to wash Jake Paul. I don't know if it's going to be like an easy thing, but
it'll be easy.
He'll going to win. He said, I'm gonna mess around with him and get it done. And I hope he does, because these brothers need to be humble, because even if he would have fought Conor would have destroyed Jake Paul just off the rip of boxing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He would have destroyed him because, first of all, Conor got power. Conor has accuracy, and Conor know how to box. Yeah, Floyd made him look stupid, but Floyd made a lot of people.
That's a different. You
can't even like. And Floyd was kind of carrying it too. Carrie's like, all right, I'll let Conor we watch.
Yeah, they paid a lot of money,
so we can get.
Floyd said, let me let this drag out,
and then I'm gonna finish him when I'm gonna finish him, and that's what happened. So my thing is that these guys. I remember watching this, and we had this conversation when we were younger. I remember watching Chris Webber one time, like, man, I could beat Chris Webber, right? And then I realized after playing in this urban league and my age, like, these cats will destroy the bum on the NBA. The last cat on the bench will wash the average guy. Like, I remember when this Brian Scalabrine one time had like a thing in Boston when he brought people to come in and he played them one-on-one. He was washing all of them. The White Mamba, he was killing everybody.
Nah, listen. I'll tell you one thing. I'm beating Dickie Simpkins one.
I mean, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I
don't care. No, I'm beating Dickie Simpkins.
We watch it too.
I'm not losing a guy named Dickie Simpkins.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I feel you, but I say all that to say, because like a lot of times I trained and I even trained for like mad years. I probably maybe trained like 2 to 3 years in Muay Thai, right? And I wasn't even going ham like some of the guys in my gym was going ham and actually fighting. And I watch fights. This is not a joke. Like, you have to really be about this. And I appreciate the fact that the Paul brothers, they really do care about fighting, but they are picking on the top of the top guys, thinking that they nice. Like,
and they have no resume.
Yeah.
What's Jake Paul's resume? Nate Robinson?
I think Jake Paul and Logan Paul. Like, Logan Paul, I think it was like, they say he's a great athlete. He wrestled in college, but you ain't doing nothing really. Now, if you want to say something to me, go do MMA. You know what I'm saying?
Jake Paul is 2-0.
Thank you. He fought that.
And one of those is Nate Robinson.
Yeah.
And then he fought KSI. Cause there was another time when like Logan Paul and KSI, this other YouTuber from the UK, fought each other the second time. Cause the first time they had a draw, and the second time they fought each other, and he barely beat him. And
Wait. So you mean his resume?
Logan Paul, the older brother.
Yeah.
He's a draw, and he lost one. He lost to this guy named KSI, and he drew the first time. The Jake Paul beat KSI's younger brother.
Now, I know about the KSI thing because Shannon Briggs was training Logan Paul.
Exactly.
And I remember the press conference and they were talking junk. Yeah. Right. So I always knew who Logan Paul was. I didn't know this Jake Paul guy yet. Yeah, that's his younger after. Right. I didn't know who he was at first.
And honestly, the KSI younger brother, look, he's giving some pepper too. But he beat KSI younger brother, and then he beat Nate Robinson.
So the KSI younger brother is a YouTuber also.
Yeah, but he also
his resume consists of another YouTuber and a basketball player.
Yeah, that's it.
Come on, man. How you're not drawing money out of it? And that's why they said the Logan Paul Floyd fight has been canceled. They said that Floyd is worried that nobody's really like the fight's not drawing anything.
Yeah, because
Floyd is about that money.
Jake Paul is the more popular one because Jake Paul is everybody's head. He's recent. He rocked this person. That's why Ben Askren got paid a lot of money, more money than he made in an MMA bout to fight this cat. So he's like, look, same like Floyd. Why not? This is money. I'm stealing this money. I'm going to fight this guy, wash him, give him some real pepper, and that's it. I watched like LA boy Alistair Overeem, right? And I watched like a video of him and some other fighters. There's like, cats would go up to him like, and I'm talking about these are kids who are training in the martial art. And it's like, can you give me a punch? Can you punch me? Let me see how can I take one of your punches? And these guys will give these guys like this little bit of punch. It may be like maybe 50 to 40%. And these cats are bending over, dying in these impacts from these fighters. And you mean to tell me that a Jake Paul who just recently learned how to box because he boxed with Shannon Briggs in them and thinking that he in a real boxing gym gonna do that? I seen a video of Logan Paul, the older brother, getting KO'd by what's his face? By the guy that Israel Adesanya watched, Paulo Costa. Now, when he was wrestling Paulo, he was actually holding his own because he's an athlete, strong, he can wrestle. But when Paulo Costa put them pants and them paws on him, KO'd him. And you're gonna try to fight another professional MMA fighter who was an ex-champion?
They're just looking for a quick payday. And more Instagram followers.
Don't get me wrong, man. I'll fight Mayweather right now for $1 million. Just give me the $1 million. I know it ain't gonna draw.
I want more than that.
I mean, I want more than that too, but I'm just trying to say if I'll be
if he gonna knock me out, I need more than that.
It's only a first round TKO, like 20 seconds into the fight. I think, like, boom,
pep up a little bit. I mean, like, I'll get a YouTube following. I'll say, yo, Floyd, let me fight you, man. And I email him on the side like, yo, Floyd, man, I'm just trying to get a little come up, man. I know you're gonna beat me, man. I just wanted to fight you.
Just want a paycheck. That's
it, man. And that's it. I fight Floyd. You know what I'm saying? If I knock out Floyd, I knock out Floyd. But you know what I'm saying? But I'll do that for that kind of thing. But these cats be bugging, bro. They wildin'. Plain as day. And I hope Ben Askren wash Jake Paul, and I want them to get humble. Sometimes these cats are humbling. But yeah, man, switching gears to the NBA. There's a lot of rumors going on. My Nets looking good. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes, sir.
Looking solid. And if we get Andre Drummond, sky's the limit. But all the stuff that's going on, they got all these different trades, all these different.
Not to interrupt y'all, but y'all doing a lot of this giggling like y'all gonna really get Andre Drummond. You think they gonna buy him out? They gonna trade him. You can get something from him. Yeah, and y'all don't have anything to trade from him.
I mean, we don't got to trade from. You're right. We don't got nothing to trade from. But I think they were talking about there was heavy talks of buying out. I just feel that because of
I doubt it.
And then everybody talking about Andre Drummond coming to the Nets, and then Cleveland hating, so they're gonna probably make sure they don't happen or whatever. We saw Iman Shumpert. He's a good defender, so we'll see what happens. I'm happy for him because I hate to see like some players get their boot out the league because their services are no longer useful. But we'll see. I'm happy for him, and if he can add some, good stuff to the team as far as defensively and
he did okay last year when he was with them.
Yeah, he did. So we do that. I know that people are talking about JJ Redick. I don't feel that he'll be a good fit with the Nets. I think he's the same player as Joe Harris, but shorter. And Joe Harris, I think, is a better defender than JJ Redick. So I don't really necessarily think we need him. And I think we need a big, legitimate big. I know we got that Novel Pell. I know we said that last week in the podcast, but I feel that that's a better look for the Nets. We need somebody big or another defender. We don't need any
Trevor
more.
Ariza or JaVale McGee or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't need no more offense. They got that covered. So.
Yeah. We got Kyrie, we got KD, we got James Harden, we got Joe Harris when he ready. We got everybody. Like last game, I think everybody, like 6 plays on the Nets was in double figures. Even that freaking
Bruce Brown put in like 19.
like 19 points. You know, he's going ham. So my thing is that we got offenses covered. Our problem is defense. And I mean, the defense has gotten better, but you know, we need to shore up that side of the ball as far as getting more defensive minded players. And I think Iman Shumpert will be a good addition to that fold. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of moving parts. You know, the trade deadline is not here yet. We'll see. There was something that happened that I wanted to talk about with the NBA, but I forgot it. But if it comes back up to me, I'll mention it again. But as far as what's going on in the season, how do you guys feel? Like, how do you guys see it? You know what I'm saying? Malik, you go ahead, and then Hollis and Tyrell.
All right. I mean, I think in some ways things are starting to, I don't want to say balance out because it's not exactly that. But if you look at a situation like the Nets, you know, now that the Lumen trade stuff is out of the way, people are on the team, everybody's there. We really starting to see what they got. And I think that's why they've been also creeping up in the standards. Obviously, like we were just speaking about, it's not perfect, but they look good. And we see them more of what they are, what they're capable of. I mean, as far as some of the other teams, I mean, I am surprised about Dallas. I just felt like they would be doing better, playing better. I know they didn't have Porzingis for the whole year and all that, but even within that, and the crazy thing is that Luka is still putting in work. Like he's playing good, but it's not really translating as much. Now, obviously, if you take them off the team, they will probably be just absolutely terrible. But I mean, that is a little surprising to me. I mean, I think once again, I'm not overreacting, and I know their focus is the postseason and championships. I feel like the Lakers are showing a little bit of chinks in the armor, in a sense. Like early on, they were looking like it was going to be almost free for them. Yeah, but obviously before the Brooklyn type of stuff, but but yeah, now it's like, and once again, I'm not overreacting. I'm not saying they don't look like a contender. I just feel like, you know, they showing a little, you know, whatever. Boston is, I think Jaylen Brown's really coming into his own, especially with, you know, Hayward out. Because even with Kemba back, you know, he's still showing that he playing at like an all-star level. So that's good to see for, you know, Boston. And Tatum, you know, he just really keeps just taking those steps forward. So he's going to be a problem going forward. The Jazz surprised me some, honestly. I feel like, you know, Denver was, you know, and Jamal Murray was doing all that stuff in the bubble. And then this year I expected more from Jamal Murray, and he not really, I mean, not that he playing garbage, but he just not playing like bubble Murray. Yeah. And the Denver overall, I mean, I guess losing Jeremy Grant too or whatever is having more of an impact too. But they not bad or terrible, but I just expected more from them. So they're a little surprising in that regard. The Jazz, how well they're playing and doing. You know, Dame Lillard doing his thing. I think Portland with a more healthy team than last year coming out the gate, showing what they made of. I mean, it's going to be interesting. The other surprising thing, but it's surprising, but given what's going on, is Miami. You know, Butler has barely played. I know because I got him on fantasy. But but beyond that, it's like, you know, between that and a lot of the other players, they haven't had their rotation, but they're really falling and digging a hole for themselves that I don't know if they could come out of to really solidify themselves as a playoff team. So we'll see how that shakes out. You know, the Clippers, they seem like they stabilized in some. I mean, they still could use maybe another piece or like figure out certain things, but
get Lonzo, man.
Maybe. I know there's a lot of rumors about the Pelicans was thinking about shopping them and stuff like that. So, I mean, we'll see. I think once the trade deadline hits, I think that's the next big kind of thing that's going to really give more clarity or vision into what teams really look like, because any big moves might be made or roster spots filled in, then you really get to lock in and see what the team is going to look like going forward. So I mean, yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff going on, but that's just my kind of take right now.
Allison?
It's not too surprising to me in the sense, because like how I usually go, like the first half of the season, teams you don't really expect to like be like in the top 8, like the teams like Cleveland, but nobody expected them, like Charlotte, nobody expected them to be in the top 8 right now, but we all know like the second half of the season that's going to change. But I'm really surprised about one team in the Eastern Conference, Toronto. I'm surprised they're struggling at the way they are right now. 12th place, they pretty much have the same exact roster as when they won the title in 2019, and they're struggling. They're 12th place right now. That's a surprise to me. The Wizards I mean, with the Wizards, we expected a little more since they traded for Westbrook, but it's, I guess, in a sense, I guess it's not working out. Bradley Beal putting up crazy numbers and teams not winning. Westbrook, he's getting ejected. He's getting frustrated. He's getting a bunch of technicals. He's still putting up his numbers, but we expected more from them. On the West, I'm surprised by, like Menelik said, with Dallas and New Orleans. Those two teams surprised me. The Grizzlies, I'm surprised about, because all the games they had postponed, they're actually sitting 5th place right now in the Western Conference. So the West is kind of looking like that's how it might stay for the rest of the season. But the East is what I think might eventually shift, because it got a couple teams that could squeeze in, and also got the play-in games whenever that starts. So right now the Knicks are 9th place, Orlando's 10th, the Bulls are 11th. They could be 3 teams that could squeeze in, Toronto and Miami. I don't know. They talk about Miami could have been a fluke that they got to the finals last year. I was just like, man, Listen, I don't know, but hopefully they'll get it together. I know they got injuries, and like Melik said, Jimmy Butler was out, Tyler Hero was out with neck spasms and all kinds of other things, but hopefully they can get it together. I mean, it won't really matter, because Brooklyn going to do it all.
I mean, Brooklyn got it already locked. But like you said with the Miami thing, it's like, I think like what it is, like I don't think it was a fluke. I just think that when a team is rolling, they rolling. Unfortunately for Miami, like you said, they had a lot of COVID issues. Jimmy Butler had COVID. Tyler Hero had the injury. They don't have a full team, and then we have to really look at this season. And I'm gonna let Tom go after I say this real quick piece. Is that there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of weird stuff that happened. It's a shortened season already. A lot of cats who played in a bubble coming back playing. I felt that the bubble, and this to me, like to Melik's point, like when you see like cats like Jamal Murray and them killing, is like that kind of like at least shows you how dominant, and easy it was for the bubble for these cats to go off. Because for Jamal Murray, even though I know he's bothered with like a shoulder issue, because I do have him on fantasy, and different things like that. There's a lot of stuff going on. Same thing with Wizards. Wizards can't get a flow because half their squad was in freaking COVID protocol and they couldn't play. And the reason why the Memphis Grizzlies are 5th place, because their games are postponed. It's gonna be like how college football was, where Ohio State only played like 7 games and other teams played like 20-something games. So it's gonna be weird this year. But go ahead, Tom. Your surprises.
Not much really at the top. I didn't put Philly as 1, but Embiid is playing at an MVP level. Tobias is steady, and they had their share of COVID stuff too, with Seth Curry and certain guys had to sit out. They were playing Tyrese Maxey. He was starting. I think another guy was starting there, putting in work. So at one point they only had like 7 players, and they had to deal with it. So Philly is one of those teams that we expected to be a top contender, maybe not overall number 1 seed, but they're once everybody stays healthy, they'll be clicking on all cylinders. I think Embiid probably, to me, is the front runner for MVP right now as we speak. Tom, things could change. Things could change. Kevin Durant does have something to say about it, but when you keep sitting out back-to-backs, that can hurt your chances of winning it. That's what happened with LeBron last year. I think he sat out some games, and Giannis was able to get an early lead on the voting, and then people wanted to bring LeBron back into the voting because of a 2-game weekend that he had before the pandemic shut down. So that's why everybody hated on Giannis winning. But Giannis was the clear MVP last year, but that's last year. Brooklyn is where we think they should be, because they added James Harden, so they're second. That's pretty good. Milwaukee, they're so, but they still have to adjust. I think they're still making adjustments with Holiday and Giannis and stuff like that. They did lose George Hill. That's a big piece to lose.
Yeah.
Even though I think Holiday's a better upgrade than Bledsoe, I think they're still trying to find a little chemistry there. So Milwaukee should be fine too. Indiana, we expect Indiana to be a solid contender. They did get rid of Oladipo. I think he wasn't happy there. Hopefully, if they get Karis LeVert back soon, that can help them. The Celtics, we got to see now with Marcus Smart. That calf injury looked pretty bad to me from what I saw last night. I think he might lose some time.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'm not sure. They showed a slow motion. And
they said 1 to 2 weeks this morning.
It must be a strain because you saw his calf kind of pop a little bit, like if it was a strain. So it was pretty bad. Atlanta, we thought they'd be better than what they are. 10-9 is, I'm pretty surprised by them. I thought they'd have a little more than that. To skip everything else, the Wizards. I think the Wizards can get a pass. Most of their team was out due to COVID. They did lose some time. So I can't really get mad at them with that. No Russ. Everybody gets on Russ because of, the arguing and the complaining. But I think that's between him and Rondo. Remember, that stems back from the bubble with him and Rondo and his brother. Yeah. So I can't really, and that's the first time they saw each other in a game since Rondo that. So and Rondo gets under people's skin. He's a pest. So that was his first time. So I don't really make too much of that with Russ. But he does have to keep his cool because that's the second time he lost it because he did lose it in the bubble, and you shouldn't be losing your cool and talking trash when you're losing big. That's the thing I have with him. Like you're getting beat by a lot. I don't understand why you're going back and forth. I know you don't want to back down from nobody. I get it, but you can't really run your mouth when you're down by 20. Same thing when we had with John Wall. Yeah, they're both gonna have extra chips on their shoulders. They were traded for each other.
Exactly.
But when you're losing by 20 points, you shouldn't be talking. So I don't get it. The Miami Heat are the same thing. Like you guys brought up Miami, but they didn't miss any games. Like the organization didn't postpone any games. But honestly, when has Miami actually had their full roster together? The first half, Bam Adebayo and a couple of guys missed time for COVID, and then Jimmy Buckets just came back, and Tyler Hero was hurt, so I can't really get on Miami. Yeah, people want to say it's a fluke, but it wasn't a fluke. So if it was a fluke that Miami made it to the finals, can we say it's a fluke that the Lakers won it? Because they didn't play the Clippers.
Thank you.
And they didn't play this team. They didn't play that team. Now listen, don't get me wrong. The Lakers are the champions. They won it. Okay? I'm not taking that from them, but let's not go around talking about flukes when they won it. So don't disrespect the bubble Miami Heat because you could easily say that the Lakers were a fluke as a bubble team, even though they're playing well this year. Come on now. It's the bubble. Anything can happen in a bubble. Sure. There was we could go back to it, there were players on the Clippers. I think they mailed it in. Half that team didn't even want to go to the bubble. Yeah. And they wanted to leave after the incident in
Jacob Blake and all that.
Jacob Blake, yeah. So they were ready to leave, even though the Lakers were the other team that was going to leave too. But I'm not calling the Lakers win a fluke. So don't call Miami going there a fluke. That's the thing I don't understand. People, they throw this fluke thing around, but when it comes to any organization that LeBron James is with, nothing's a fluke. Because I could say a lot of things that with LeBron James that, I heard a lot. Like I heard in '99, the San Antonio Spurs got a half a ring because they won a lockout season. But LeBron James' first championship came during a lockout. You don't hear nobody talking about that.
Exactly.
And then the Golden State series with Draymond was suspended, and then there's a bubble championship. I could be petty. I could be petty and say things like that, but I'm not going to do that.
We all know Mike's rings.
So to call the Miami Heat going to the championship a fluke is BS because every team that was in the playoffs They were there. They were there. They were full roster. There was nobody hurt, at the time, and they were up 3-0 on Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Before Giannis got hurt, so there's no fluke
Real
there.
quick, the only thing I can say that I can understand slightly why people say it was a fluke, because they ain't playing on Brooklyn with KD and Kyrie, so that's why.
And anyway, on to yeah, right, sure. On to Toronto. You got to cut them some slack. They're not even playing in Canada. They're not even home.
Yeah,
they're not even home. I don't even know where they're playing right now, to be honest with you.
They're playing in not Tampa Bay. They're playing in Jacksonville, Florida.
Jesus, oh, Jacksonville? Bro. I thought it was Tampa Bay.
Goodness gracious.
Tampa Bay. Yeah, you're probably right. One of those areas. They're playing either Jacksonville or Tampa Bay, Florida, and that's their home court because they can't go.
I mean,
America, so COVID thing.
Right. So
I agree with you. You gotta give them some.
No, slack. Toronto. You gotta give them a little slack. So
I mean, they were in the bubble and they was doing something. But actually, you're right because they came from a bubble, then they go back home. Then 2 months later, they go back.
They're back. Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. It's kind of messed up to do that.
Yeah. So and shout out to my Chicago Bulls. They're 7-11. I know Dame Dallas hit us with the dagger last night, but we did screw ourselves out of a couple of wins. We should be about 10-8 or something right now. Not 7-11, but it's all good. The Western Conference, the only surprise to me is the Jazz, 15-4. Wow. The Lakers are who they are, and people are not talking about them. And I think this is how they should be. But the Clippers are flying under the radar.
Yeah.
And they're very solid. No yapping. There's no yapping this year. Nobody's talking.
Yeah,
nobody's
no commercials.
No commercials. Nobody's acting like they're bigger than LeBron.
He's in Pete playing.
They're not talking about this is my city now. And they're sitting right there. And they own a victory over the Lakers already this year, even though it was the first game of the season. The point is they do. And I think the Clippers' problem, as it was in the bubble and before the season started, before the season was halted last year, I think they're only focused on the Lakers. I think that Clipper team would have gone past the Lakers last year had they played them. That's their problem. They worry about the Lakers so much. I think they just slept on everybody else. If they could just get past everybody else and play the Lakers, I think they'll be fine. But they need to focus on everybody else. That's their issue. But they're flying under the radar nice and, so Denver's heating up. Denver's starting to play well. Phoenix is where I expected Phoenix. I never thought they would be a championship contender. I just thought they would be they would have an upgrade from Chris Paul. So I think Phoenix will be fine. They'll get in that top 8. Portland will be fine once they get Nurkic and McCollum back. The Warriors, anything the Warriors do this year is a plus. They were expecting to have Clay back and he's not back, so you can't really complain about Clay. I mean, the Warriors and stuff like that, they're doing the best they can. The Spurs are the Spurs. They're still, in contention every year as usual. And I'm going to finish it off with Dallas. I think Dallas had a lot of issues too with COVID. Finney Smith, Powell, Kleber, like a lot of their role players were out. And then, of course, Porzingis was coming back from his surgery. So we gotta give them some time to gel. So I think they'll be fine too. It's still early. It's only 20 games. They got 50 games left. So I think they'll be fine. I think they'll get in that playoff hunt. And everybody else in the West, they just stink. Pelicans and all that. They stink. They stink.
Now, but you know what it is? I think what it is with them is that when Jeff Van Gundy, Stan Van Gundy got there, it really messed up Lonzo's kind of way of playing. Like he had a good game the other night, but
no, listen. I understand. I understand you're defending Lonzo, but listen, he ain't what he was spoken of. Like I've come to that. It's been about 4 years now. I think it's 4 years now. He's not what. Like sometimes it takes 2 to 3 years to see what a player really going to be. He's not that. He's going to be a solid. He's going to be a solid point guard, but I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes a career backup after a while. That's what I see out of him. And I do give the father credit. I think LaMelo has the most potential out of all of them. He looks like someone that's going to develop even better than Lonzo. But Lonzo, I'm done. It's like 4 years now, or 3 or 4 years now. I've seen him. Now I'm done.
The reason I'm not done yet, this hear me out.
I'm gonna let y'all go after that. I'm done after that one. But yeah, he's done. I'll let you feed off of that one. You can go off of that one.
I think like I'm gonna get to my surprise in the sink, but my thing with Lonzo, I feel that look, man. I think with certain players, there's a lot of situation, and being the firstborn, sometimes you get like the brunt, like how we used to always make jokes, like how for our parents to give us licks, and if you guys don't know what licks is, like a spanking if you do something wrong, like we always used to feel as the eldest that we were a prototype. They refined their skills with us, and then they decided what to beat for and what to give licks for to the other siblings, right?
Yeah.
I look at it
much
like, so Lonzo, he was the one that came in. His dad hyped him up. He was the number 2 overall pick. He looked good in college. You know what I'm saying? He went the traditional route, and he got to the point where he came to the Lakers. Now they had LeBron, like, you know what I mean? They had a big thing. Now he was thriving on the Lakers when LeBron wasn't there, but everybody knows that if LeBron's on your team, and rightfully so, because he's a great ball handler and he set up the offense, you're not going to really get many touches. Lonzo's not a spot up shooter. He's not a guy who can stand in the corner and hit an open 3 consistently. He's a guy who's a playmaker like his younger brother LaMelo. So he was in the system when he wasn't rocking. When LeBron was hurt and he was be able to rock, he was killing. But what happened? He got hurt because he had them cheap shoes on, and it was messing him up. When he got traded to the Pelicans and he was playing for Alvin Gentry, he was playing well. He was getting some decent numbers. He was getting some triple doubles. He was playing very well. He was able to set up his teammates and start playmaking. I think when Stan Van Gundy came, the system changed a little bit. He's not the main primary ball handler as much anymore. Then you got his backup killing. You know what I'm saying? Alexander Walker, whatever. He's killing. And he's like, yo, you know what I'm saying? They need to move him. I personally feel, because I know there's a lot of trades, and I'm going to use my segment of like surprises with these trades. Is like, if Lonzo could get traded to like the Clippers per se, I think he'll be a very good fit for them. I mean, Reggie Jackson is playing well now, but Reggie Jackson is a score first kind of point guard, where Lonzo, he's not really a score first point guard, and he's a better defender than Reggie Jackson. And I hate to say it, Pat Bev a little bit, because Pat Bev, he's a good defender, but he undersized, and what I mean, Lonzo has a decent shot where he can actually get to the basket and at least do a little pull up here and there. So I feel that if they get like a pure up kind of like a Rondo-esque type of point guard in Rondo and Lonzo, I feel that will help their team, and I think it will help him too. He's back in Cali, you know what I mean. He'd be able to play in a system that will be able to utilize his skill set and play a lot better. So I think that'll be good for him. But also, what's a surprise with the Washington Wizards, like you guys say, you got, Russ is Russ. He a type person. He was yelling at the freaking animated crowds and animated fans in the bubble, like they yelling at them. You know what I'm saying? You down 20, you get like an and one, and you screaming at the refs, and you doing this other stuff like that. Russ is on a different level mentally when it comes to playing his basketball. You either hate it. You know what I'm saying? And with him, I feel that I don't feel bad for Bill thing and him. I just feel bad for Bill, because I'm pretty sure, even though Bill loved his boy, you know what I mean, John Wall, I'm pretty sure Bill was like, yo, man, get Russ. Maybe we could do something. And like you said, the whole team was in COVID. They missed a lot of games. You know what I'm saying? Russ was hurt at the beginning of the season. He just got his quad injury, kind of went away. He's starting to feel a lot better. He played a lot better yesterday. I'll see how he played tonight against the Nets. You know what I mean? I have on fantasy as well, so we'll see. But I feel like the Wizards are going to turn it around. As far as if they're going to make some super noise, unless they're going like a crazy win streak, I doubt it, because they're going to take an L tonight. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, there's a lot of rumors going around trading Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal don't want to leave Washington, but I think a lot of people are knocking on the door because of frustrating. The Bradley Beal has 67 points, 40-something points, 30-something points, another something. You know what I mean? Like, the guy is putting it up career numbers. The man's averaging like 30-something points a game in the NBA, the top leading scorer in the NBA, and his teams are still losing, and it's frustrating. So as long as you don't go to the Lakers, I'm happy. But there's rumors of him might go into the Clippers. There's rumors of him going to Golden State. There's
Miami.
There's rumors of him going to the Bucks. I feel if he goes to the Bucks, then Brooklyn will have a legitimate concern with in the East. I mean, I'm not sleeping on Philly, but I think we could beat Philly all day. But I feel that if a Bradley Beal type of player goes to the Bucks with Giannis and Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton and some of the other weapons that they have, I feel it's going to make it a little bit difficult for the Nets, because defensively the Bucks going to be on point. And when they start building that wall up on freaking Giannis and he trying to do his thing, you know what I mean, they got people like Beal in them who could score. And
let me Sorry, Mike. Let me cut in front of you for a second. I'm gonna let you get right back to it. Bradley Beal goes to the Bucks, and they do not give up Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton. You guys are done. Like, I don't care what you say. I don't care who's on your team.
It's gonna be interesting.
Don't talk about little concern. No. If they get you without giving up any of those guys, you're done. There's no, and there will be no wall. You're not building a wall on Giannis with Bradley Beal on his side, on one side, and Chris Middleton the other with Drew Holiday. I'll let you go ahead and respond to that if you want to.
I'm responsible.
I'm going to leave it alone. You go ahead and keep
I'm responsible.
It's over.
The reason why I don't think it's over, because if you look at it, right, like, first of all, they don't got Kevin Durant, right? We have Kevin Durant.
That's your talk, cuz.
Right. And then 2, we got James Harden. All right. James Harden makes all of them cats. And we got Kyrie Irving. Okay. So the reason why I say it's not over, because we have a 3-headed monster that's so lethal that Kyrie had to fake an absence just to make sure we get the plan the way we needed it. Okay. And my thing with the Giannis thing, Giannis is a great player. And I know you're going to hate on this, but I'm just going to say it anyway. And I agree with some of the players. Giannis is a great player. However, he doesn't have a certain level of skill. You have players that are just athletically gifted and talented.
I agree with that.
And then you have players that have skills. Like, if you look at Giannis, right? Not like if you look at Kyrie the Beast, 6'2", 6'3", my height, and to be that skilled as he is and get a basket whenever he feel like it, that is skill. Michael Jordan, even he said it, and we always reference The Last Dance. Yo, man, you know, I was here, man, and I was now getting like an understanding of the game and a certain level of skill set. And that's why Michael Jordan, at age 60, almost 50, still killing young cats on the court, because he's that skilled, right? James Harden, that skilled. Kevin Durant, off an Achilles, averaging 30 points a game. Okay, skills. Giannis, he yammered on you. He got maybe 2 post moves. That's it. And some people say, some NBA analysts, they was like, "Yo, hit up Kevin Garnett. You know, let me help."
But this is what goes back. This is where it goes back. You got it out your system. All right. Yeah. But this goes back. This goes back to me and your debate when they were in the bubble, and you were saying how Giannis needed help from all the other guys. When I was like, no, he needs to get in the gym and get better. You're basically saying what I was debating with you about months later. It's him. I think it's him. It's him. He needs to get better. He's one-dimensional. Everybody knows what he's going to do. He's going to come up. He's going to come he's going to bring the ball up. He's going to get to the top of the key, and then he's going to try to do 1 or 2 power moves, make that spin move, and go for the layup or a dunk. Like, you're laughing because you know why you laughing? Because you know exactly what I'm talking about. He's so predictable.
It's true, but I agree with what Shaq was saying, and I agree with what Kenny Smith and was saying. Some of it is him, and some of it is coaching. And I felt in the bubble. The reason why you had the discussion in the bubble is because when Chris Middleton was laying an egg, and they had
Chris Middleton was killing.
No, he started to pick it up when it was too late. I'm talking about with the first.
It was Bledsoe.
Bledsoe, he was terrible, right? And Middleton was corny for the first couple of games. He started to pick it up later on. That's why I said he needed help, right? Now he has a Drew Holiday, right, who's a legit defender who can hit a mid-range jump shot consistently, unlike Bledsoe. And you got Chris Middleton, who's playing well, right? Middleton always played well in a regular season. Sometimes in the playoffs, he kind of stands and watches, at least sometimes. He started playing a little bit better, like I said, at the tail end of that series when Giannis didn't have none. But I agree with you. Giannis, once you could stop him from coming at you full speed and doing this long Euro step and all that other stuff, that spin move and yamming on you, then he ain't really got much. And I agree with them. He needs to work on his post game. I feel that if he had a footwork like freaking Embiid, then he'll be a problem. But he ain't got that. You know what I'm saying? And that's why they say, reach out to Kevin Garnett. That will help him a lot. And if he does that, then maybe we got something to talk about.
But I don't think Garnett is the guy you should go to.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on.
No. This is not even a joke. This is not a joke. But
all Kevin
for his size, and length and height, I know what you're gonna say. I don't care. But Tim Duncan would be a no. Hear me out, because hear me out, because I think that Giannis needs to add a post game to his arsenal that involves him using the glass. And who's the master of the glass shot? like
I mean,
Tim
look,
Duncan.
that'd be
I
good.
get
but
what you're saying about
the
Garnett, but
reason why I say Garnett, and I agree with you. I think the Tim Duncan thing is not a bad look either. I could legitimately say that. Tim Duncan,
wait, before you go,
Mhm.
it's impossible to happen because Duncan literally he contractually works for the Spurs. So I
Yeah.
just threw his name out there, but he's not going to be the one. It would be Garnett before anybody before
Mhm.
him because Garnett is not attached to one organization
Exactly.
like Tim Duncan is.
But my thing with the
But
Tim
no,
Duncan
but
situation,
all jokes aside, Garnett would be a good person. See, I
yeah,
could say nice things about KG,
yeah,
but
I,
Garnett would be a good
mm,
person to talk to
yeah,
about that, or like a McHale. But yeah, you're right.
yeah.
But
The
I'm just
reason why
saying,
I say
don't sleep on Duncan either.
no, I'm not sleeping on Duncan. The reason why I say
All
KG,
right.
right, is because Duncan, his skill set was not predicated off athleticism. His skill set was just based on fundamentals and skill, right? So he utilized his body and his size to his advantage. Whereas, yeah, and y'all feel free to jump into Malik and Hollister. Whereas with Kevin Garnett, he was an athletic big that can do some of the stuff that Giannis was doing. So for Giannis, if he can develop a consistent mid-range jump shot and learn some of them like post moves that with his athleticism and his quickness while he still have it, I feel that KG is a more suitable person for him. Or he do like the same thing a lot of the other big men did, where they go to talk to Hakeem, or they go and talk to freaking Kevin McHale to like work on those things. But I feel the way Giannis moves, it was similar to how KG had that kind of athleticism and explosion, and especially at the beginning of his career, that would be something that's more suitable for Giannis. Because, like you said,
I don't know about all that.
yeah, well, I do, but when the game gets like bogged down and they really putting that pressure on them, what happened? They stand there, they clog the paint. Giannis either going to get a charge or he's going
Everybody
to
just move out the
lane
ring.
up,
Yeah.
or he'll kick it out, and you got to either hope that Bledsoe going to make a three, or Chris Middleton ain't shook that time and make a shot. And like you said, if you get Bradley Beal now, you got another guy who can create his own shot and also take the pressure. Because that's the one thing about the Nets that I noticed with having like James Harden. Now that James Harden these past few games feeling more comfortable, even though he's out tonight, feeling more comfortable playing, is because he now is like, you have three different weapons. Like, you have those three guys can create their own shot. So they don't need like a freaking like a person like Joe Harris could kind of create himself, but he off like them catch and shoot joints. You know what I'm saying? Bruce Brown could kind of create his own stuff, but they ain't like a James Harden and Kevin Durant and Kyrie who just you give the ball to them, get out the way, they get their basket. And I feel that Giannis can do that to some degree, but like a Middleton can and a Beal can. So if they were to get that on his team, but I mean, look, the Bucks, they're gonna be a good team. He made a commitment, so Giannis is there. So they got to figure out a way to make it happen. But like you said, if they could do that without giving up Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton, then yeah, I will give them a troublesome thing for the Nets. I still have the Nets beating them, especially if we get Drummond. But aside from that, I think it's our championship to lose.
Giannis need one thing. He need like that dog mentality, like that. Like he don't care, like just go all out. Like you can tell he's kind of scared to like go at certain people. Like he need that mentality, like Shaq. They don't care. They will just go kill KG. All of them guys, LeBron, KD, Jordan, all they just go out there.
Don't put Garnett in there.
Yeah, Garnett was like
with the intensity. He need the intensity. Like
he just had a lot of mouth.
Giannis has that. The problem with Giannis is that Giannis sometimes, when somebody thinks too much, right? Even with his free throws, like he used to be way better when he first started. Now he's terrible. He's thinking too much right now because he knows the pressure's on him. He made that commitment. He is trying to be that guy, and it's a lot of pressure on his shoulder.
You got to do it.
Exactly. You just got to like relax. And I feel like on the defensive end, sometimes he'll make the plays, but like the other game they played against the Nets, like why wasn't he guarding Kevin Durant? He want that smoke. You know what I'm saying?
What happened? He know.
Yeah. Malik, I know you want to say something, so go ahead.
Well, yeah, as far as like the KG Tim Duncan thing I was talking about, I was gonna bring up that other point that I think they both would be good, but the other piece I was going to point out was the fact that KG's game was a little more about his athleticism, and since Giannis is known for his freak level of athleticism and build or whatever you want to say, that would have been the other element to it. And yeah, I mean, as far as if they did get Beal, they would definitely be a problem. And but I do feel I would still give Brooklyn the edge, mainly because Beal is a savage. We know this, right? And he would take a lot of the pressure off Giannis, and he, like you said, he's somebody. If he got to get a bucket, he gonna get a bucket,
Right.
60 points worth if he got to, right? So it would have relieved a lot of that pressure where everybody's not gonna look to Giannis, and then Giannis is limited in that way, right? But you got KD, right? Like sniper, killer, savage, monster, right? That he is, right? And then Kyrie showed he got that ice in his veins, you know what I mean? So, and James Harden can do it. He doesn't always do it as much in the playoffs, but with having KD and Kyrie, who has proven on the highest stage, as much as like Bill hasn't had the chance to be on the highest stage.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's still somewhat of a question mark of, not that he don't got it in him, but is he gonna really deliver like they deliver? So I would still give Brooklyn the edge. It would be a problem. No, I'm not saying it wouldn't, but
one thing too,
give
over.
If that was to happen, who's going to sacrifice? Because somebody got to sacrifice.
Yeah, that too.
There'll be more.
But
I see more of Milwaukee adjusting to sacrifice more than Brooklyn.
I agree with that. I think their adjustment would be a little bit
They've been sacrificing already. Like James Harden getting triple doubles. He just now starting to score.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm still skeptical of Kyrie Irving. I don't know. And Bradley Beal does have playoffs. You know, him and John Wall, first couple of years, they were making the playoffs. So it's not like Bradley don't know nothing about the playoffs.
Bradley wasn't Bradley Beal yet. He was Bradley.
I understand.
You know what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, but it's not like Bradley Beal gonna be going to the playoffs for the first time. It's just that the Wizards been bad since John Wall got hurt.
He haven't had the chance. Yeah.
Right. That trade won't work out for
they
Washington
were going
anyway.
at it. They were going at it, huh?
That trade won't work for Washington. Who they gonna get?
No, yeah, that's what. No, we're just hypothetically.
I know.
You know, but that's why I don't think he's going to the Lakers either. That's why when Aubrey brought it up a month ago, I was like, "You're not getting him for Kyle Kuzma. That's not happening." And if that happens, that's great. It'll be like the Pau Gasol to the Lakers all over again.
Yeah.
Because what are you giving up?
Miami might be the real threat.
Miami has the pieces to get.
They got Hero, they got Duncan Robinson. They could throw in there.
That's what it is. So, and I think they got some picks. So my thing is that
picks, and they could give up two of the three between Nunn, Robinson, and Hero. They're not going to give up all three of them, but they're going to take
Hero. They're definitely taking Hero, and they're definitely taking Duncan Robinson because they don't want the shooters to split around Russ. So they'll definitely take those guys.
If they do that, then that's fine because you can't give up all three of them.
No, you can't. I agree. My thing, man. Like I'm still liking the season, man. I'm excited. I'm happy for for the Nets team. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm watching the games. I'm watching, basketball in general. I'm just happy to watch basketball, and I do see that. There's a lot of like the stuff we talk about speculation, like even with the Drummond thing. Like, is he going to get bought out? Like you said, Cleveland might trade him. You know what I mean? But then if they trade him, he's a free agent this year anyway. So a lot of teams ain't gonna really want to take that buy to do that. So they might, buy him out. And he come over there. I know they were talking about JaVale McGee. They got a lot of bigs, and Jarrett Allen, we know what he can do because he did it for Brooklyn, and he's over there probably doing it for Cleveland right now. And Cleveland really got much to win for anyway. So it's like to get the man into a place where he can compete will be great. And I know it looks bad and look crazy on paper, like they got Drummond, they got all this. But like I was trying to tell some of my other friends earlier, I was like, look, man, it doesn't necessarily equate for them to winning. As much as we talking right now, Hollister and I do have confidence that the Nets will win the championship this year. But it's not going to be easy. It's a shortened season. We got to figure it out. They suck defensively. They got better defensively, but they still got a lot to learn. And when you start having a 7-game series where, these teams are keying in on your guys, you have to see. And like, I'm just happy, and I'm happy for Kevin Durant because he came back. He looks like himself. He hasn't played for 18 months, and the man is averaging 30 points a game. He's still playing good defense. You know what I mean? And I'm glad. Sometimes I get upset because he's on my fantasy team, and when they sit him, but I'd rather him sit and be healthy and prolong his career than for him to get back hurt. And, the Nets' chances in real life, him get hindered because he's not around. So I'm happy for him. I'm glad he's playing well, which is why I feel that he should get the MVP. The man coming off an Achilles, averaging 30 points a game, hasn't lost a step to me or lost the beat. You know what I'm saying? He's still on point, still killing, and it's only right that you know, and he is the most valuable player on that team, that he get it. You know what I'm saying? Like LeBron is just like, all right, you got AD and him on the team. Like, who cares? You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to LeBron. And then you got freaking, you know, like MB playing well. I think MB should be a candidate. You know what I'm saying? Who was the other guy you said, Tyrone, was on there you mentioned as an MVP person?
LeBron.
You said AD, LeBron.
No,
I mean,
Tyrone
MB.
is somebody he felt should be getting it hands down this year. I forgot who he said. Was
it Embiid? I think.
It might have been MB, but I thought it was somebody else.
Oh yeah, I think maybe he did say MB.
Okay.
Oh, Marcus Smart out 2 to 3 weeks. He like a grade 1 calf tear.
Dang. So so he's probably out for a minute. And then like I know like Steven Adams had an injury because I have him on my fantasy saying he's hurt. But yeah.
That was a rumor with him too.
Yeah,
they saw about Steven Adams and JJ Redick to Brooklyn for Shamit, TLC and Claxton. I'm like,
I'll do that in a heartbeat. I'll do that in a heartbeat, man.
Steven Adams, ain't nobody moving him.
Yeah, I'll take Steven Adams right now. First of all, he a decent defender. He'll get your rebounds.
They bring that toughness.
Bring that tough, and no disrespect to DeAndre Jordan, but you know what I mean. As far as getting them boards and them strength and stuff like that, he already has familiarity with the guys. Like you know, I think he was there when James Harden and KD was there. And then on top of that,
I know KD for sure. I'm not sure about Harden. Yeah. No, he wasn't there with Harden. Remember he was part of the trade, that draft pick.
Oh
yeah, yeah, but he was there with KD for a little bit.
KD, right? And then you know you got him. You need another big, right? Don't get the Shamit. You know he's coming into his own, but he wasn't really doing that for us.
Mm-hmm.
Claxton, he hurt. So
yeah, should be back in this sometime in
February.
Who
was the other guy? TLC.
TLC,
cool, but you know I could deal with.
Since we got Harden, he kind of like is on the bench more now.
Yeah, and then we got Shumpert now, so you know what I'm saying. Like, I mean, yeah,
we still fixing up the roster. It ain't complete yet.
It ain't complete. They still got some guys that need to get.
And they got one more roster spot.
Yeah, and we either save that for Drummond or somebody else. So that'll be good. But anyway, man, I mean, I know we're gonna talk about the football thing, but I think we will mention that next week.
Guys, you guys are jumping the gun too much. You guys cannot possibly. Now I was speaking, I didn't even know I was muted, but you guys are talking about Steven Adams going to Brooklyn.
There's a rumor, I was just reading it.
Yeah.
That's not happening. New Orleans is not gonna just take that. For no Steven
Send Zion. Send Zion.
Right. Well, why not, right?
Yeah, why not send Zion?
Everybody
Zion, he was supposed to play with them anyway. You know what I'm saying? So remember when they thought that the three of them was going to go to the Knicks? It was Nets, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's the Knicks being the Knicks. Always hopeful.
Send Zion over there, bro. And then he get a chip first and second year. You get Zion.
That's what the Knicks do. They just hope.
Delusional.
I mean, they try and do a little something this year, man.
No, I gotta tip my hat to them.
It's too early to really be seen yet. I'm not.
They back in their regular spot. They 9th place.
But
I mean,
they're number one in defense. Number one in defense, man. Number one in defense.
Every Tom Thibodeau team is number one in defense.
I was gonna say though, Thibodeau really got them playing. Like I just hope he don't run them into the ground.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. I know.
He really got them playing though. Like
I know that Derrick Rose thing.
No, man, I know firsthand. He's gonna run them into the ground.
No, he's talking about that practice.
That's why Luol Deng's career ended quickly.
And that's why
Joakim Noah was washed up quickly.
Well, Joakim Noah
like that got washed up.
Yeah, he's already washed. But, I get it. I just Joakim was already washed, but I mean, Derrick Rose is the biggest heartbreak because I'm in this basketball page on Facebook, and it was like, they showed a picture of John Wall, Steph Curry, Russell Westbrook, and Derrick Rose, and it was like, out of all these 4 MVPs, whatever. And Derrick Rose, they said none of them cats wanted no smoke with Derrick Rose. But Derrick Rose,
they didn't.
He was cooking. I know against Celtics. I was like, this freaking Derrick Rose, man. I was getting tight.
That speed, oh my goodness.
So good, man. And it's like he's a shell of himself. And I feel so bad. Like they try to write the man off. Like, and it's sad. But like he was a guy like he had the mastery with his skill set with his body, like his speed, his explosion, his body, everything came together as one, and he was able to play. And then when he got hurt, it wasn't the same because you can't do those same movements and you don't have that same really like you want to have because your body's not there. And that
was hurtful to see that happen to him.
And Thibodeau's to blame, but
that's not Thibodeau's fault. But
injuries happens.
I mean, it does happen.
He shouldn't have been in the game when it.
I was blowing him out, right?
Well,
it was a blowout with less than a minute left.
Yeah, but he would have got hurt later on down the line anyway. So that's what
It
I'm
would
saying.
have happened. Yeah, it would have. Yeah, it would
I
happen
think
when it was
that
supposed to happen.
this is why, because
Listen, let me tell you. This is why. Like you just said,
Yeah.
it was bound to happen because guess what? He took the entire year off, right, from the torn ACL. He came back 10 games into the season after coming back. He tore a meniscus.
on the same.
So I'll never forget. It was in Portland.
It was
And
on
he was cooking. It was,
He tore the meniscus on the other knee, right?
the other knee. But
Yeah.
then when he went, but then he went to the Knicks. I think a couple years later, and then he tore the other one.
Yeah.
So he has
Okay.
2 meniscus tears and an
The
ACL.
ACL too.
But you see,
So
look what happened to Clay, right? And I'm hoping that, and that's why I'm happy that when like Kevin Durant actually had a full on year to really recover, and his body type is a little bit different. When you play like anything in our body, like your back hurt, you might walk on the opposite side like this because the left side of your back hurt. You don't want to stay this way because it hurts. Your body compensates. So what happened with him? He tore his ACL. The other leg now he's using that primarily more. He's doing other stuff weirdly. Then he tears on that side. Then he has to compensate now for this injury on the other side. He tears on the other side. So the trainers were bad because they wasn't really giving him time to rest. And then the whole pressure of trying to get back to play kind of played a part on that because now you forced to get back early. That's why when Kawhi did what he did, I didn't blame him because like, yeah, the medical staff might say, all right, he's healed, but you're not fully there yet. Look what happened to Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson was revving, rearing to go, and when he tore his Achilles, now he reported Klay. You know what I'm saying? Like
Reported Clay.
he was reporting the game last night.
I know.
So my thing is like, it's sad because like somebody like a Derrick Rose, the youngest MVP ever, the cat was a beast. And the series of events, and like I said, like yes, it was bound to happen. But like when you have a coach like a Tibbs, and I'm not blaming Tibbs, he also was on the Boston Celtics, and he's a great coach. But yes, these guys are young, and he's old school. Like I don't want to play rookies. I want these young cats that are young enough to play. You have to understand, if you put them through this rigorous training and the practices, and then they go into these games competing and playing heavy minutes and stuff like that, it's going to take its toll. And that's why when they sat KD, I didn't feel too bad because I was like, why KD didn't play against OKC? They was like, look, give him a couple of days off. He played 40-something minutes. One night he played 50 minutes. I'm like, yo, the man needs to chill. You know what I'm saying?
He did a back-to-back last week, I think, or the week before.
I mean, he missed the first ever back-to-back. Then he said he wanted to play back-to-backs. He played a back-to-back. And then, like, after that, they were like, yo, you're playing them too much. Like, literally, those 3 guys play the majority of the game. Like, there are times where they play, like, whole quarters. And they playing. So I get it. I mean, unless they smacking a team out 40. So I get it. I understand. But it's like, you have to be careful with your assets. And I felt like the Bulls is like, nah, we gonna go. And could I honestly believe if Derrick Rose never got hurt, that Bulls team would have won a championship. Especially
they were gonna destroy Miami.
When Joakim Noah was playing like almost like an MVP. And I hate to say it, but
listen.
And
that was the year we picked up Richard Hamilton because the first year when Miami beat us, we had Keith Bogans as a 2-back.
I love him.
Kirk Heinrich.
No, Heinrich was a great backup. I love me some Kirk Heinrich. But when we always needed a 2-guard, he was the missing piece to the team. So we got Rip Hamilton, and we were clicking. We were the number 1 seed playing Philly.
Yeah.
And in game 1, you know what happened. And then we had the unfortunate, duty of being one of the few first seeds to lose to an 8. So we're on that list, but we would not have been on that list had Derrick Rose not torn his ACL, and we would have gave Miami a run for their money because we beat them a lot in the regular season. Not saying that regular season always matters, but we matched up with them, and they were not scared of them.
Dirk in them, right? And y'all the one that too. That was the year they lost to Dirk in them, right?
Right, and then we could have played OKC. We could have played OKC in the finals. It should have been Rose against Westbrook and Durant, and we would have beat them too. Yeah, right. Yeah. How did y'all look against Miami, by the way?
They was young.
Oh, okay.
They was yeah.
We all know that. We all know. Listen. As a young Harden, young Kevin Durant, young
Mike Miller's the reason why they won that championship.
All right. And we had an experienced veteran like Richard Hamilton on the team, so he would have guided us to that championship. But I can't revisit the past. It hurts.
That would have been a good finals to watch, though.
Yeah, it would have been a great finals, Bulls in 6. But it happens for a reason.
Yeah, you're
Things
right.
happen for a reason. But we'll get back there with Zach LaVine and company.
That's what
Get back there.
Rumors have it, y'all might trade him.
Yeah, I heard about that. I told my friend, because he's a Knicks fan, I said,
We need a first round pick and a few players because you're not getting. He said he's not worth that. I'm like, are you? Did you look at Zach LaVine this year? I said he's better than anybody on the Knicks. Anybody
on the Knicks.
They had the Knicks. They had the Nets. I was like, what the hell would we do with him? Not no disrespect to Zach LaVine, but like, what would we trade for him?
Warren is not
he fit. Yeah,
I don't know what y'all would give up. I don't know what y'all would give up.
He won't fit. No disrespect.
But definitely, Dinwiddie would definitely have to be a part of it.
No, Dinwiddie will give you
Dinwiddie, Joe Harris.
Nah, you can't get Joe.
Y'all ain't got no picks.
We give you Dinwiddie.
I don't want
Yoza.
I don't want anything you're gonna give. We already know y'all gonna
scratch off.
You want to look deeper down the bench? You want to look deeper down the bench to find somebody?
Those are good quality players, man. Chris Yoza.
You order the trainers.
You want to give us Shumpert too? You just signed him. He's fresh.
We might give you Shump, man. He's good.
Want to get, but don't give, right?
He's from Chicago.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, Shump from Chicago, right?
Who cares?
Chicago native. Come on, son. Yeah.
Who cares? Only Chicago.
You want a regular championship? What you want?
Only Chicago native that's in the league right now that I'll put on my team is Derrick Rose and Anthony Davis. The rest of them could go somewhere.
I think the Bulls should actually get Derrick Rose back. I think he'll play.
Well, we should have. He wants to go back there.
I think he said it. Yeah. I think he'll kill. Go back on the Bulls. Honestly, Phil, because like he was more so like a person that needed to be near home. You get what I'm saying? Like that's why when he went AWOL with the Knicks and he went over there, he still got some in the tank, man. I think if Derrick Rose has a decent, role on the Bulls and he gets to play, he'll give you at least good 15, 20 points a game, stuff like that.
And the fans want him back.
And the fans want him back, man.
I want him back. He wants to come back. He's a free agent after this year, so I
think if he come back, I think he'll play really well for y'all.
See that video when he got traded was crazy. Like, he was hurt.
Yeah, he can help. He can help Kobe White, and he pass the torch to Kobe White.
They should bring him back.
I hope they do. I hope they really think about doing that.
Oh, I don't want him. There's always room on the Nets, man.
Y'all got so much room for everybody.
Yeah, why not? Why not give people a chance? Give them a championship. Let them get a ring. When we get our second ring, he get one.
Oh, okay.
Parade.
So you guys are the guys to go to when y'all new rings.
Yeah, that's the new dynasty, man.
This is the team. This is coming from a team that hasn't won anything yet.
Yeah, we're gonna win this year. That's what I'm trying to say.
Anything. You already saying, let's go there. If you want a ring, come to Brooklyn.
They gonna shut down Atlantic Avenue for that parade.
I'm gonna come. I'm gonna be there. Right in, even COVID, and I'll be masked up.
Well, I'm 10 minutes from there, so
I'll be down there doing my things. I'm playing some.
Take some time off work. Like, talk about boss. Like, I need this off. I'm like, all right.
Like, they gonna see me right on the news. Like, Michael, like, yeah, man, we did it, baby. New York, we finally got one. Like, my mother's telling me, like, we ain't talking about that. I wasn't born yet. You know what I'm saying? Sure. But anyway, with that being said, we're gonna wrap it up tonight. Next week, like I said, when the day before Super Bowl, we're gonna get back and give our predictions to the Super Bowl and Goat Mahomes and them. So we'll do that and see how that goes. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you guys again for listening to the podcast. I hope you guys enjoy it. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Give us some feedback. You know what I mean? It does help with the channel. It does help the channel grow. And we're trying to get it out there, and we want our platform to, be something that you guys enjoy. So feedback is a must. I want to thank Hollister, Tyrone, and Menelik for joining me this evening, for coming together so we can do this. And I really do appreciate their time. I appreciate your time. And with that being said, enjoy your evening, enjoy your week, and God bless.